Caught fire. Then I heard pops, fireworks started exploding, glass fell down, people were screaming and running away.
Before official rescue crews had a chance to arrive, first responders who witnessed the attack helped the wounded evacuate away from the scene. At least 2 civilians have been killed, more than a dozen needed medical treatment.
It all started as a regular weekly shopping trip for this family. As the parents left the vehicle to go to the shopping mall, their teenage son stayed inside. He died on this very spot. The shell landed just about 3 meters away from the car.
It's been weeks since Ukraine stepped up its attacks on the region. On this tiny town alone, Kiev forces have indiscriminately dropped dozens of bombs. But despite the threat, the streets here still bustle with life.
We are getting used to the whistling, because they were nearby and were shelling regularly. When there was a big bang, I came out of the garage and saw that the explosions were somewhere in the city. Then there was another shot, a screech, and a shell fell again. I'm already in 5, so the distance was very small.
I see no point in leaving the town. Where would we go and why? We're not planning to leave.
Amiga Zhdanov reporting from the Russia-Ukraine border, RT.
We got reaction from the chief doctor in the hospital where the victims are being taken to save the lives of those caught up in the blast.
The condition of all patients is stable. The prognosis is good. People are getting all the necessary medical help. The main injuries are sharp nail wounds of the upper and lower extremities, abdomen, and chest cavity. 3 people were operated on right away as they were brought to us. Who came to our hospital were brought in by passers-by who just happened to be nearby. People applied sufficient medical assistance and stopped the blood. This helped us a lot. No one was abandoned. Even when the shelling continued and the emergency services could not approach, people who were on the streets provided help.
And now to the annual meeting of the Valdai Discussion Club, which enters its second day today, Tuesday, in Moscow, with more panel discussions on the schedule. Now, earlier, we spoke to the host of Worlds Apart, Oksana Boyko, on the main agenda of the meetings, and here's what she had to say.
Day 2 of the Valdai Discussion Club could be summarized by that old Bill Clinton's phrase, it's all about the economy stupid, and the word stupid is very appropriate here because many of the participants have been analyzing and talking about not very smart economic decisions that economic powers that be took over the last couple of years and how it's affecting the rest of the world. Now, there's been a lot of discussion about how globalization, Western-led globalization that is underwritten by the Western financial system, by the dollar and the euro, has been disintegrating. And it's not only because of the recent events, but that whole process started during the COVID-19 pandemic when some of the leading countries in the world demonstrated very, very selfish and some would even say cruel behavior, hoarding supplies for themselves and leaving the rest of the world exposed and really putting in view the very pressing necessity for many countries to rely on themselves to be vital supplies and vital services. But that process in and of itself was exacerbated by the events of 2022 with the financial and economic sanctions that the West tried to introduce against Russia. And I stress here the word tried because the effects of those sanctions were very mixed. They didn't hurt Russia as much as it was intended by the West, but they really hurt the rest of the world, particularly developing countries in the global south, many representatives of which are present here at the Valdai Forum. And that creates a major necessity for the world to restructure the way the economy is being functioning, and Russia found itself right at the center of this new system. Again, it's not geared against the United States or the West as such, but it's almost as if the actions of some of the Western powers are forcing countries to find more risk-prone ways of dealing with one another. And that would be trading in local currencies, trying to create alternative systems of settling accounts, barter trade, what have you. But this is something that is in the center of many of the discussions here.
Well, earlier we spoke to BK Sharma, who's a retired Major General and Director of the United Service Institution of India, and he told us that trade between Russia and Delhi has increased this year, and he also stressed that Western sanctions have inflicted pain on the global economy.
India and Russia continue to enjoy special privileged relationship which has stood the test of time. Both countries have stood by each other during difficult times, and that is the reason even during the Ukraine conflict, India has not voted against Russia. Despite pressures from the West, India continues to take arms supplies from Russia and has also been taking oil and gas resources from Russia. In fact, during these times, our trade has actually increased manifold and has risen to about 20 billion US dollars. And by and large, the sentiment here is that these economic sanctions are no good. Economics should not be used as a weapon of war, because this is not only affecting Russia, but it has given a jolt to the global economy. There is a recession. There are high food prices, inflation is gaining ground, and it has very severely disrupted the supply chain, which is affecting all countries, including West and European countries. So we are totally against this policy of economic sanctions.
Rishi Sunak has officially been appointed today as Britain's latest Prime Minister. Sunak became PM after winning an internal race held by the governing Conservative Party when the only other remaining contender, Penny Mordaunt, pulled out. The 42-year-old becomes Britain's